Hello, to my dear students of operations research and management science and quantitative analysis. This is regarding with the Qamsor in short. So this will be the instructions for the prelim, midterm, and final project for your for this course, which is a research paper. So this will be a format. There will be a You have to create a forecasting research paper. So first thing, you have to select a forecasting topic. After selecting a topic, you have to find a relevant data set, because of course that is important before you can um, create a title. Must be You have to find first the data sets, which are those data sets that you will be going to explore with. Then after that, you have to present the data sets with a specific purpose and goals. So you will create a sample paper or deliver a PowerPoint presentation about that. Pertains to your title, with the data sets, and presentation of the purpose of those data sets that you've gathered for your concept in short. So after that, this will be the research paper format that includes the cover page or the title itself as what you've actually done in your data structures and algorithm. It's somewhat the same for the preface. So there will be a table of content, but of course, you can create this at the end of maybe at the final term already, this preface, since this is the last stage that you have to deal with. Then there will be also a list of figures and list of tables. After that, the acknowledgement, the approval sheet, and the abstract and the glossary of technical terms. So after that one, this will be the introduction. For the chapter one, you have to do the introduction, which is the all about the background and importance of forecasting. So it began with by introducing the concept of your forecasting. You have to explain what it is and why is it important. And you have to discuss the different types of forecasting. Sorry, because it could be a quantitative approach or the qualitative approach and how they are used in various fields. So you also have to highlight its role in the decision making process, and you have to provide examples for that or such evidence. So after that, the objectives. It's somewhat the same with your data structures. You have to clearly define the main goals of your research. You have to state there what you aim to achieve with your study and how your research will contribute to the field of forecasting. And it should be smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. You have to include or must include a specific variable or the trend you are forecasting. It could be a sales, could be the temperature, and so on. There's a lot of specific variable about that. And after that, you have to also identify the core problem or what challenges that you seek to address. So it can include why research is necessary and how it will address the certain problem. So that is the same with those questions that you seek to address with. And 1.4, the scope and limitation. Since this is not present in your data structures and algorithm, however, here you have to define the boundaries of your research, including This you have to include, I mean, the specific aspect of the topic that you will focus on, and what are those specific constraints or limitations that might affect in your study, such as could be a data availability or it could be a time limitation, something like that. And lastly, the 1.5, you have to explain the importance of your research to specifically to specific individuals, groups, or organization. And you also have to describe who will benefit from your findings, such as the future researchers. This is somewhat similar to your first semester research. Next will be the chapter two, the review of related literature. So as what we had into your data structures and algorithm, you have to put a introductory part, a short introductory part before delving to the 2.1. So in the 2.1, that will be the overview of forecasting technique. So you have to explain right there what forecasting is, and it's important in decision making. You have to categorize the forecasting technique into, it could be quantitative, qualitative techniques with supporting evidences. Since of course this is talking to related literature and where each technique is used. So might um, you have to really delve with that. So after that will be the historical development of forecasting methodologies. I'm sorry, my puppy is, you know, sa barangay. And you have to, excuse me, excuse me. Next will be the historical development of forecasting methodologies. So you have to discuss the early forecasting methods, was which is connected into your research, and the origins or your trend analysis and such evidences about that. Excuse me. Okay, then you have to also discuss the major milestone and development of such method, and you explain right there the recent advancement, like how the rise of big data and machine learning transformed forecasting. So those are the things that you need to delve with. So for 2.3, that will be the applications of forecasting in various industries. So you have to choose key industries, highlight 3 to 5 industries where forecasting has the most impact. Like, for example, it could be retail, financing, healthcare, and so on. There's a lot of industries that you can definitely discuss with, and you have to explain each or use cases, explain use cases for each industry, such that for example, for use case like for retail, it could be inventory management, seasonal demand prediction, something like that. And you also have to provide evidence for those things, the real world examples or case studies where forecasting was successful. And for 2.4, those are the gaps and the challenges. You have to identify common challenges and like the universal issues could be a data quality or the overfitting of your data sets. And you have to also discuss the industry specific gaps. So, for example, in terms of finance, the difficulty in predicting rare market events. And you also have to discuss methodological gaps and highlight emerging trends like hybrid forecasting models to address the gaps like a proposed solution. And for chapter 3, you also have to create the methodology, the same approach that there will be an introductory part from that for that one. So first will be the data collection, which compose of sources of data and data pre-processing and cleaning. So for 3.1.1, you have to describe the data set you will use, If you are using real world data sets, specify the data which is coming from Kaggle, or it could be UCI machine learning repository, and many more. And if you are using hypothetical data or a simulated data, you have to explain the assumptions or the processes used to generate that specific data, of course. Because maano tada, mag-guessing game, di ba? And handling missing data. You have to describe how you will address missing data, whether through imputation, um, it could be you have to apply deletion or other method. There's a lot of method. And you also have to handle those outliers. How will you detect and manage the outliers as well? It could be applying, you can apply the normalization. There should be normalization and standardization. You have to specify any unnecessary, any what we call this one necessary transformation to scale the data like you the data I mean transformation the of your to scale the data like using z-score normalization or other scaling method. You have to also split the data into training and testing sets, or if applicable, there will be also a validation sets. So for training sets, for training set that will be 80%, and for testing sets it will be 20%. If validation set is applicable, so 10% for that, and 10% for testing set. So that is overall 20% still. So after that, there we have to proceed with the 3.2 forecasting technique. Could be a time series analysis, a machine learning approaches, and comparative methods. So for the 3.2.1, you have to explain the specific time series analysis type will be applied to the data set, including steps such as stationary checks and selecting optimal parameters, and how will you assess seasonality and trend in that specific data. It could be um, using Holt's exponential smoothing, Holt's winter, or moving average model, or a RIMA method, something like those. And 3.2.2 machine learning approaches, you have to detail the use of neural networks model, such as the could be the LSTM, the long short-term memory, or the RNN, which is a recurrent neural network. So actually, long short-term memory, those are a type of recurrent neural network, or the RNN, which can that can process and analyze sequential data. So they are used to learn or process and classify sequential data, such as the time series and decision trees. Before that, you have to really include as well the architecture and parameter selection. Include also the decision trees. Explain how decision trees or ensemble methods like random forest or gradient boosting can be employed for forecasting. And after that, you for the 3.2.3, you have to describe how will you compare the performance of different models using metrics like mean absolute error, or the May, or the root mean squared error, or the RMSE, or and the R squared. It could be like that. They are actually the metrics used to evaluate the performance of regression models. So you have to mention right there how will you determine the best performing model and provide justifications, of course, as always. And 3.3, the platforms and tools for analysis. So those are the tools for data analysis. Like you are using Python, you have to like put everything, delve everything you are using the Python Jupyter's Notebook, you really have to use Python. And time series modeling. What will be the specific library and packages like stat models for ARIMA method, and for machine learning, what specific libraries you are using. It could be a scikit-learn for implementing machine learning, and visualization. What will be the tools for the visualization in order for you to present the result? It could be tools like Matplotlib, something like those. And after the chapter 3, let's proceed to the chapter 4. For the chapter 4, that includes with, let me go next, results and the analysis. So 4.1, the same for you have to put a introductory part for that. So 4.1, describe the steps taken to implement your chosen forecasting model. So you have to clearly specify the tools or programming languages used and what are those libraries. And you provide details of the model's input data, including variables or features used, for processing steps and time frames covered. But here it's absolutely in paragraph form. You have to explain the training and validation process, including how data was split if you applied multiple models. You also briefly outline how each was implemented and provide screenshot or snippet of your code to showcase the model of implementation. And next, 4.2 will be the performance evaluation. You have what will be the accuracy metrics used, the accuracy metric used, defined, and explain each accuracy metric used to evaluate, I'm so sorry, the performance of your forecasting model. Then you have to present the formula for each metric, like the mean absolute percentage error, the MAPE, the RMSE, the root mean square error, or the mean absolute error, the MAE, and you have to justify your choice of accuracy metrics based on the nature of your data and the objective of your forecast. Then 4.3, you have to visualization of forecast and trends. So create visual representation of your forecasting research. The results using graph and charts, line charts, scatter plots, and bar charts. Include plots that show actual data versus the forecasted values, and must be having the residuals, the differences between actual and forecasted values. And you also have to ensure they that each visualization has a clear title or label, and it could be legend, and briefly interpret each visualization, and you need to provide justification as always. And last chapter will be the results and discussion, which you have to put introductory part, then go with the 5.1 findings or analysis. You have to interpret the results, explain the outcome of your research, specifically focusing on how the results address the research questions you set out to explore, or the answer to the statement of the problem, the same thing. Then the conclusion, 5.2, summarize the research finding. Restate the main contribution of your research. After that, you have to do the recommendation. Suggest practical recommendation. You suggest potential areas for further investigation or improvement. What can you recommend to the future researcher? Those are the thing. And lastly, the references or the bibliography, the same thing, use APA 7 format, and the same comprehensive list of references and sources cited throughout the study. And appendices, attach everything, the codes, including any supplementary materials such as detailed proof or any additional data. And the curriculum vitae, personal details of the researchers. So that was all of the implementation chapters and so on for the Qamsor research. So I do hope that it is clearly clear for everyone. I'm so sorry. So see you soon. I'm sorry.